You know, I'm American. I was born in the United States. I was born in New York. I got to go to New York City public schools. I got to go to a great university, and that gave me the combination of being an American, having an American education, gave me the right and the freedom to choose what I love to do and do that. I've never been in a situation where I was forced to do something I didn't want to do. And that's pure luck, as I tell my neighbors in Zuykachbur. Some of these people, they're really kind of forced into a situation. They don't really have as much choice as you have when you're born in New York.
I have nothing bad to say about America. I lived a great life. But it's time to move on.
I was looking specifically at the concept of return within diaspora. So, I mean, my PhD is on diaspora theory, and obviously return to some kind of homeland is intrinsic to the notion of diaspora. So I was looking at diasporans who were settling for varied periods of time in Armenia. Part of it was kind of patriotic or sentimental.
And I will spend a lot of time just gazing into Ararat. Because for me, that's a symbol of purity and protection and spirituality and love and the whole, yeah, it talks to me. Have you seen Ararat without the clouds and everything? Have you seen it? It's regal. It's really regal.
We could see Ararat every day, so that was very nice.
What was the feeling when you saw Ararat?
Well, the first time, it's funny. I told my husband, I'm like, is this it? It looks like the mountains in La Cañada. But then the next day, I fell in love with it. So every morning, I used to just stare, and I really enjoyed it. Beautiful.
Is it enough to make you want to live there?
No.
I think the independence of Armenia and the accessibility of Armenia for many people has reinforced their own diasporan identity, but at the same time kind of reinforced this tie to a real country rather than a mythical, nostalgic country that, people heard about, from their grandparents or great-grandparents.
I realized there was something missing in my life, and that something was that desire to move to Armenia that had been in me since the second that I stepped foot on this land and dropped to my knees and kissed the ground, which everybody was just like, what is this girl doing at the airport? It's so dirty. But it finally began to eat me alive. Although I had a wonderful life in Manhattan, being a young single girl in Manhattan with a good job, running around the city, it just wasn't what was deep in my heart for what I wanted for me. So I came here and then I got my job. I didn't want to wait for an opportunity. I just wanted to grab a plane. That's what I did. And they say that good things come, and they did.
I moved here permanently in 2004, but the first time I came was in '94. And I was coming back and forth every year.
Was it in your thought that you would move here during that 10 years?
Actually, the first day I got here, I felt like I was going to move here eventually. I didn't know if it was going to be a year or 10 years, but I loved it even the first day I was here in '94.
What was it?
Just being here in Armenia. It was, hearing Armenian around you 24 hours a day was really a shock. It was nice to hear, though.
I had come to Armenia twice on vacation, and I kind of liked it. I used to tell people it's like a Disneyland for Armenians, everything's Armenian in Armenia. And I wanted to take a year off from work and spend a year living in a little village and just enjoying that rural life in Armenia. But I ended up getting a job just almost by accident, and I spent 3 years living and working in Gyumri on a USAID project. Then the project came to an end, and I was thinking of maybe helping out some people that I'd gotten to meet in the little village. And one thing led to another, and I ended up doing something a lot bigger than I expected, and I stayed.
I got here July 9th after touring with my documentary film, The Genocide in Me. Very long tour. I guess I needed to stay in one place for a while, and I decided that it's probably going to be Armenia. First because there was the film festival, and then I was quite busy in July and August, and then in August I met a guy, and he was one of the reasons why I wanted to stay.
Did you find that any of them were there strictly to find a mate?
Not that anyone told me.
But the relationship didn't last. I went back home, and back home I lasted 10 days. I booked my ticket and I came back here.
Why? What was it about back home?
I started feeling that I couldn't relate to anyone anymore, and that my future is in Armenia. First because I'm part of a group of diasporan Armenians who all have a mission in life in Armenia, and we all feel that we're doing something good for the country.
I think it's good. I think it's a question of who you ask. I think it's good because the people I talk to were all bringing something to Armenia. You know, they're not taking, they're bringing something. I think that's very valuable.
And another thing is I'm still single, and this is the best place to be because you meet people all the time.
I think it's quite interesting to look at Armenia as a modern day homeland where diasporans from all over the world can actually meet each other. So it's a site for, you know, that kind of encounter as well.
And even if I were in a relationship, it's a good place to be. There's a lot of energy, and every day is party time. I'm not really a party animal, but we're always out. The parents are not here. We support each other no matter what happens. Even if we don't have money, even if it's hard for most of us, we're here for each other, and that's the best thing about Armenia.
People saying that, you know, in America doesn't really need me, there are so many other people like me, whereas I can actually make a difference in Armenia.
A very close friend of mine in 1998 when I was here, he was telling me that, why are you sitting in Boston? What are you doing in Boston? I said, nothing really. So he said, why don't you move to Armenia? I'm starting thinking, asking questions like education, health, and things that in reality, they are secondary when you make a move. So he said something very interesting. He said, Armenia is a country in a process of changing. You have a choice to be a witness of that change or not be at all. So I'm glad that I'm here. I'm glad that I'm here because I have seen a lot of changes. It has given me a lot of opportunity to mature.
I love Canada. I love Montreal. It's a very good place. But something was missing. Like, I couldn't accept that I would have a family there, like children growing up and living in that apathy, because it was very apathetic, very consumer oriented, and I think much of it has to do with how society is there. Even though it's a very nice place to live, it wasn't. Human-wise, it wasn't very human. It was, people were indifferent on anything. They were doing their little job, waking up in the morning, going to their work, having money, buying their house, then getting old, retiring, and I couldn't live like that.
How is it different here?
Here it's different because you're working with raw material. When you work with raw material, you feel you're human. Not everything is not prepared here. You have to work for it. Even if it's like a salad, you're prepared. It's not like prepackaged. You have to go get it, find it. Sometimes you don't find it, and that makes you feel human. That makes you feel that not everything is happy, secure in the world.
I don't know if you want to hear this or not, but I'm going to tell you. The only thing that I miss from living in Boston is garbage disposal. But it is.
So you would be too American to move to Armenia?
I am very opinionated, and I do voice my opinion.
And you don't feel that could happen in Armenia?
I think I might be arrested quickly. Yeah.
I don't know yet because I have not seen it, but I do know that people that go there have life experience, like their life completely changes. I actually had a friend who said every time she speaks, she says before Armenian and after Armenian. Doesn't matter what she's talking about because she said it's a life-changing experience. And I think everybody who's Armenian, who has the money to actually go, needs to go and visit to know where their heritage and their people come from, to see what they've been through and how the people live there. And I think they'll appreciate life more.
Would you move to Armenia?
No, I wouldn't.
Why not?
It's not. I don't feel that I will be comfortable there. I don't feel that I will enjoy living there, even though I'd enjoy traveling there and spending a few weeks once in a while. But the culture and the lifestyle and the conveniences that we're used to here are not available there. And maybe we're spoiled, but I don't see a reason why I should do that at this time.
Yeah, it's a big transition. You know, I lived in the East Village. I like to say I lived in the East Village, and now I live in the village of Zuykahpur. But and they're quite different as villages go.
I'm Armenian, but you know, everyone here knew that I wasn't from Armenia. Even if I dressed like, you know, like an Armenian, you know.
How was that? Pointy shoes?
No, I mean, just, you know, black pants, a shirt, and I go out. You know, they'd still know that, you know, I'm not a local.
So did you feel you had to adjust?
No, I acted the way I did normally, and they take you in here. They're not, they'll invite you to their homes, they'll talk to you, they'll sit with you, they'll want to find out what America's like, they want to find out, you know, why I'm here. You know, they'll, you know, from the taxi driver to the, you know, regular person who runs a cafe.
This is my Yerevan apartment, where I used to stay a lot when I was working on my USAID project, but where I practically never come anymore. But go ahead. My apartment in the East Village wasn't as nice as this. You know, I didn't have any view at all. It was a walk up, but of course it was a lot closer to the IRT than this apartment is. But this apartment is to me, it's a wonderful place to live. That's Mount Aragats over there, and that's Mount Araz. And at night, when you open those doors and you come out here, with all the lights in the apartment building, it's like being in Manhattan. It doesn't cost me much money to maintain it or own it, and my friends and relatives get to stay here.
The thing that sold us on this complex is just the quality of the construction and the fact that it's going to have pretty much every Western convenience you could ask for. You know, inside washer dryer, underground parking, security, swimming pool.
Okay, so you're going to feel right at home, right?
Yeah. Better than home.
But
we don't have a pool in America.
Yeah.
True. Dad had just gone to an interview in San Francisco, and it was the night he came back, and we were talking, and they said, guess what, we're moving to Armenia. And we were really upset, and we tried to change their minds, but it didn't work. Yeah.
And now how do you feel?
It's not as bad as you think. It's not as bad. I like it a lot.
How long have you been here?
About a month.
So new friends already, and it's only been a month. You're going to be here for maybe years, you know?
2 years.
Is that all?
Counting.
Okay, you say that now, 2 years and counting. Do you think you'll be saying that in 2 years?
No, I probably will want to go back, but I'll definitely miss you. But we're coming every summer to Armenia, so it'll just be like home for 3 months, and then we'll go back to America, so it'll be perfect.
They've done an amazing job adapting to, you know, the fact that TV here's sort of lame and
Sort of.
Which is a blessing.
Shopping's lame.
You know, shopping.
But Italy is right here, so.
Italy is right next door.
And Paris. So it's the best shopping there. So you just go on a 3-hour flight and then you're there.
That's all, just 3 hours.
Yeah.
And so you were in Beverly Hills. What's the zip code here?
We don't know.
We don't even know our address.
I don't think they have a zip code.
So you went from
90210.
90210 to
zip code unknown.
Yeah.
Is it different?
Yeah, it's different. The kids at school are much nicer here, but the building's very not good. It's not remodeled and doesn't have marble in the bathroom like our Beverly Hills school did.
You know, you just think to yourself, what happened? I mean, why did this have to happen to me? I'm 14 years old and I'm changing my lifestyle right now because my parents forced me. You know, at the moment you might think that's just bullshit. No one can force me to do that. But let me tell you something. Living through these 5 years, I've learned so much about life, and I can say that I'm very happy that I'm living in my homeland right now because I'm a U.S. citizen. I can go back and come whenever I want. It's not a problem. You know, I love America. I was born in America, but I just feel so home. I feel like I'm in home in Yerevan. I mean, look, I'm sitting in one of the best cafes in one of the best cities in the world.
Here, one of the most difficult things is watching movies in English because Kino Moskva is only Russian movies. So as soon as someone gets a DVD from the States, we're like, okay, movie night, and it's a big thing for us.
Well, you know, growing up in the U.S., most kids develop easier. I mean, we start talking about, you know, drugs, sex, and going out with having boyfriends and girlfriends, and I didn't know that it wasn't really accepted to talk about such things like that here. So I remember I was 14 years old and the girls were asking if I had ever kissed before, had a boyfriend or done this, and I was so naive. I was just telling them all these things, and then 1 week later the whole school was talking that I was this whore and I'm this messed up chick from America, and I had so many problems. Every time I'd walk around this, oh my god, oh here comes the whore, here comes the whore.
Armenia has changed a lot since, you know, back in the Soviet days. I mean, you see a lot more girls. You see a lot more liberal girls now. Of course, there's still the conservative girls. Yeah, you see conservative girls, but you see some liberal girls there too. You know, you're like, wow, in Armenia.
When I feel there's a lack of respect, that's when I stand up and I say, you know what, maybe you should wait in line because I've been here for 15 minutes and it's rude to just cut in front of me and do what you have to do, even if it's just to buy cigarettes. For example, I went to the pharmacy to buy something and this young girl cut in front of me and she said, I just want one thing. I said, I want half a thing, but you have to wait. They're not used to that. But again, these are small things, but...
What is their reaction to those kind of comments from you?
They're not used to women speaking up, and the minute a woman opens her mouth, it's probably shocking for them.
Do they take offense at that?
It depends how we say it. It all depends how we put it. I mean, if we say it lightheartedly, and also it depends what it is that they did. It could have been something that really turned us off and we got angry and we just gave a reaction. And that's okay. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to get angry, and not everything should be politically correct, and, you know, try and say things nicely and politely. Sometimes anger is a natural thing. I mean, as far as we don't actually clash and we don't get into a fist fight.
And then in a lot of ways it works for your favor. You know, there's two sides of the story. You know, they see me in line waiting for the visa line for 3 hours, and, you know, there's like 14 locals and there's me, and somebody comes and grabs me by the hand and says, don't wait, come on, you're from America, do you like it here or do you like it there, you know? A lot of times, you know, being different here works to your advantage.
Wait, you let them do that?
People are nicer. Do I let them do that?
You let them pull you ahead of the other people?
In a 1 hour line? Crucify me. You know, when the air conditioning doesn't work, the hallway smells like trash because there's trash all over the place. You have to wait there for an hour. Somebody's coming holding your hand and walking you to the front of the line. I don't know. I'm no angel. I go. Is that wrong?
No, it's not.
There was one person in particular I remember, who was American, married to an Armenian from Hayastan, who talked about having two distinct homelands, and, you know, that's confusing but also brings a richness to it, and that obviously a position of privilege, but I think one that many diasporans would aspire to.
It's interesting when you mix a local with a diasporan in matrimony, because you're coming from two different places, but you're still Armenian. It's like when you first show up in Armenia, you think you're finally coming to your home where your people are. And then you meet the people and you realize you're totally different. You know, yes, you are Armenian, but it's not, you know, it's not the Armenian that you know, you've known. And so you have to kind of adjust and learn.
Parents are struggling in the diaspora to keep their children Armenian and Armenian friends, Armenian getrons and everything, going to the church. I don't have that stress here. So I will concentrate on developing their personality as humans and not as Armenians, because everything is Armenian here.
Garin and I were taking the cab and we met so many taxi drivers with so many mistresses, and the fact that it's normal for them to have a wife and other women on the side. But you have to look deeper into why that problem exists here. It goes beyond what you see, what is normal for them.
So do you try to change their opinion?
No, because, for example, I had a driver, he's 18, last year. I had a very young driver. And I said, the minute you get married, is it okay for you to have another girl? And he goes, yeah, of course, because that's what he's seen from his father. But we can't generalize. Again, there's good families, there's people who have never had mistresses, but I hate generalizing. But it is a problem. There's a lot of problems. Abortion is a big problem here. But I think I need to focus more and see the statistics, or talk a lot to women who have been in those cases, to be able to conclude something and tell you, you know what, Robert, this is what happens in Armenia.
Wherever I go, it's the same situation. It's always women hidden behind their kitchen and as if they don't exist, as if they're there only to serve men, to prepare food, to think about the children, to like clean the house, and nothing for themselves, as if they didn't exist, not as persons, not as women. They didn't have a body, they didn't have sexuality, they didn't have nothing. So when we decided finally to come here to live, I said, oh my God, how can I be able to live in it's such a macho society? And plus I have two daughters that I can see them in this society, how they can evolve as women. So I founded this women's center with two other friends who are local women, local Armenian women. And whenever we meet, we said, oh my God, this is wrong with women. This is what's happening to women. We don't feel like we have much rights here. We feel discriminated. And we said, why don't we find a space for us?
Կանանց ռեսուրսային կենտրոն, բարև ձեզ, շնորհակալություն, ինչով կարող եմ ձեզ օգնել?
And that's why we started the space. We started with 3 people. Now we're 15 active women who are working there, volunteer. The purpose of this place, most of all, is to create a safe space for women to gather in Armenia and to feel important, to have a voice that they can show, to talk about their problems, and then to start being part of society, because they're not part of society. They're not part of government, they're not part of decision making, they're left behind. Of course, we have a lot of resistance. Last year, we were situated at the Yerevan State University. We were working on campus with the university students, and we started giving sexual education classes, courses, training, and they said, thank you very much, you're out. You know, it's like, it's not something that we need to talk about. They told us, like, why do you talk about this? It's not important for our women to talk about this. So there are different kind of obstacles that we find. But when you live outside in the States or Canada, you can go to any shelter and they will accept you. But here, as a woman, you don't even have a shelter to go to. Armenia was an awakening for me. Like, I was thinking differently when I was outside, and as soon as I came in Armenia, as if I was in touch with myself, and I really understood myself here as a woman and as a person.
I'm going to show you this article they just printed on the family. And it's really funny because they have a shot of me being domestic, which unfortunately is not one of my skills. So this was the cover. It's me and the kids. And then here I am being domestic. Right there, bottom left.
Is that really you?
No. They made me. I'm like, it's not me. I don't do that. And they're like, "What shots you don't believe? It'll be very nice." Like, if you want it, I'll do it, but it's not.
Do you
me.
find attitudes in Armenia sexist?
Not as much anymore. I think that's one of the main reasons I wanted to move here. I wanted to break those stereotypes of gender. But it's not really an issue anymore. But I do get called a strong woman. So I think they recognize active women and passive women.
When I see how close families are here and how knit they are, I want to be a part of that. So when I married an Armenian from here, it was just an added bonus to be a part of that closeness that you really see, falling apart in some cases in the States.
Some of them said to me really that my life in the US was almost boring. It worked out so nicely, everything was in its place. I'd done my degree, I'd got a good job, I was earning good money and all that, and I kind of wanted to do something a little bit more meaningful. So some of them actually seem to be motivated by some desire to find meaning or something more interesting or challenging.
Challenge,
yeah, challenging, yeah. But also feeling that they're making a difference.
I'm one of the luckiest people on the planet, and I'm surrounded by wonderful people trying to give this project their best. They've got all their pride at stake, all their honor at stake, all their patriotism at stake, and there's a certain kind of love too that gets generated in the process. And love, after all, is one of the most important things in the world and life. And so I love what I do, and I love what I do because we all love each other in this project, and we're doing this project as a labor of love.
I am the Director of Public Relations and Events for the Confession Museum Foundation. We are a nonprofit organization, and we are set on building an art museum here in Yerevan, an international museum of art which will bring the best of the world to Armenia and will bring Armenia to the rest of the world, the best of Armenia to the rest of the world. We will definitely put Yerevan on the map of international art. That's what I do.
I'm the executive director of the Paros Foundation, which is an organization that we've started with the Strout-Kulhanjan family in San Francisco. Roger and his wife Julie and their family support several charitable endeavors here in Armenia, and they've gotten very involved in this entity called the Paros Chamber Choir, which is an amazing group of performers that all happen to be disabled, and they're amazing in and of themselves for their singing ability. So it's not just promoting the choir, it's changing the mentality within Armenia of people with disabilities.
We basically meet diasporan Armenians every single day, like 365 days a year, and everybody has a mission. Even if it's their first time, we try to tell them that, you know what, you could find a job here, you could be part of an organization, do something good for Hayastan. So it's always fun to be here.
That's the problem with Armenian Americans that come here. A big majority of them do not mingle with the local population.
But I have to tell you something too, that I'm part of that group of diasporan Armenians, but I've been spending 12 to 13 to 14 hours a day with Garen, who's not a diasporan Armenian. And I think I also want to show people that it's possible to get together with local Armenians and do something good. So, bye.
I remember being so impressed that despite the serious poverty they lived in, these people never asked me for anything. And here I was involved with a very big and important project in Gyumri, which was handing out housing certificates to people in Gyumri. And one day I ran into a member of the family in Gyumri. She had a big smile on her face, and I said, what are you doing here? And she said, well, I just received an apartment under the program. I said, my goodness, you were involved with the program and you never told me about it? And she said, oh, I wouldn't want to bother you. And I thought to myself, these are wonderful people. I love these people. So, and they were, you know, people were poor, but they worked so hard. And I said to myself, well, there must be something better these people can do with all this energy and get something more in return for it than this poverty. And finally, one of them said, well, it'd be nice if we could have a small cheese-making station. So in the end, we built a cheese factory and a dairy farm.
We meet at Raffi Kodian's place. That's where everybody goes. He has a loft. So, and there's an Armenian girl who's diasporan. Her name is Shushik. She cooks for us every week, and we get together and we give her money. Like, we really support each other. We give Shushik 1,000 or 2,000 dirhams every time she cooks, and so we get together. We're maybe maximum 10 to 12 people. So that's about 20 to 25,000 dirhams for her. She wants to open a restaurant, so we're trying to support her. So this is how we work.
I came here with no work. I sold everything in the States and I moved here. I put you know, my money into the house that we built, my family built, and then I took risk and got involved in, you know, business. I could have came here easily with a salaried job, no problem. No problem. I could have came here with a salaried job, but I didn't want to do that, so I got involved in a business instead. I wanted to own my business, or own part of a business, and run it, learn it from scratch and run it, and that's exactly what, you know, I've done.
It's very easy to make money here.
What is your experience?
I mean, Western experience. It doesn't matter what I did. Like, I'm a computer programmer, pharmacist, import, export, everything else. But now I'm in the construction development. I knew nothing about development, but this is a country where you can do anything you want.
With the Western knowledge.
Western knowledge.
I started my own business. It's an advertising and marketing agency, and it's been 1.5 years. We're doing well. You know, I'm having fun doing what I do. A lot of companies we work with are the Tufenkians, the Viva Cells, the ADC, Norwegian company, very much non-Armenian. Okay, they come from abroad. They start a business here. They look for an advertising agency that understands them, a marketing company that understand how to do marketing the way they know how marketing should be done.
There are some who come and start a business, again, out of emotional considerations, and they pack up and go back, and you never hear from them. You know? One would wish that wasn't the case, but sadly enough it is.
I truly believe that a lot of them want to come here, they want to do business here, they want to do good here. But then again, you have that small percentage that, you know, is here for only one reason, and that's, you know, not for Armenia's interests, but for, you know, other governments' interests. Yes, spies.
There are a lot of people moving away from Armenia, so if we can stop that by really providing more business opportunities in Armenia, that will be a big success.
The business environment is rather hostile. There are people who are trying, but it's very difficult. It's very difficult. People depend a lot of times on contacts, like anywhere else, but especially in this area, the government won't help you. So you're on your own, and this is why it's been very difficult, especially for diasporans who come here. Some of them have successful businesses, and that's a reason for envy, but a lot of them have sour memories.
Another gripe that a lot of people had was, you know, you're not able to do business here in Armenia. First of all, you have to be here to do the business. You can't write a check from abroad and have people run the business for you. You have to learn the business, you have to interact with your employees, and you gotta have hands-on. Those days are over, where people were just writing blank checks to NGOs, or they were just writing blank checks to businesses and having, you know, Araik and Haiko run the business for them, and then 6 months later it was over, it's finished. Where's my money? You have to be here. If you have the money, You abide by the rules because there are rules, and the rules change every day. There's a tax code that changes every day. There are regulations that change every day. You have to have a good accountant and a good lawyer, a decent lawyer, that will be able to work for you and keep up with the laws that are changing every day, because they're changing. It's a growing economy, it's a growing market, it's changing.
I don't think we regret our life here. This is not something that we can say. There are many things we'd like to change, and I think that's what we try to do, is we actually try and push the envelope. And you know, when the service at a restaurant is not nice, we call the waitress and tell her that, you know, had you done this way, we would have been more happy.
I feel there's a lot that needs to be changed in Armenia too. It's going to take time. Like little things, like waiting in line in banks because there's no red lines where people have to wait. I was opening an account at the Converse Bank, and I was at the counter, and I was writing personal information, and I had 7 people at the counter staring at the paper at the same time. So things like that just get on my nerves. Or you're waiting in line to buy bread, and just people cut off in front of you. But these are small things that you learn to deal with. The minute you accept that your life is in Armenia, that's the minute where you have to deal to accept these things. And try to educate. I don't like that word, but try to educate people and say, you know what, it's not possible to do this. You have to wait in line. And sometimes they think you're rude because you're telling them what to do or what you think.
And that's the problem that America has today, which is imposing their will on everyone else and saying it's our way or the highway. And, you know, that's just not going to happen here.
I'm not in a place to tell people what's right, because there's right and wrong, and there's what's right for you and what's wrong for you, and that might be different from what's right or wrong for me.
And then there was a time during these past 4.5 years where we were ready to pack up and leave. We were just frustrated with everything, the people, the harshness, their attitude towards diasporans, their attitude towards non-Armenians, and a lot of racist remarks, a lot of hostile remarks, and just not remarks, I mean attitudes as well.
Do you feel that it's your mission to bring change to Armenia?
I did in the beginning. I thought that's why I was coming. But the more you live here, the more you realize that you need to change a little too. And so I don't think that, even though some things do need to change, and I would like to see those things changed, and I'm working towards it, I also appreciate the change that's happened inside of me. Right?
What change has happened inside of you?
Well, I definitely wasn't very materialistic, but whatever materialism I did have instilled in me has probably left me. In me is now a sense of community and a sense of a common good, because I'm living among my people, and people that need more than fancy cars and you know, the latest designer clothing. So I think I've become more humble, and I think I've become more of a participant in this world.
You know, the country always gives a million times more back than you can ever give to it.
Would you say that road rage has come to Yerevan?
I don't know. It's road rage. Yerevan has its own flavor. It's like, as my friend said, everybody's wired on too much caffeine and nicotine.
People here have complete disregard for the law of the road. And it starts from the simple, you know, horn honk.
Is Danny a good driver?
Yeah. I want him to drive my life.
Where are we going today?
Going to Garni and Gerhard. And we may hike as far as Havutstar from Garni, which is a monastery. It's mostly in ruins, but it's a beautiful place.
There's a lot of garbage out here, isn't there?
It's disgusting. You would think that they at least leave some places alone. But everywhere.
Is it a mindset that can be changed?
I think right now there's just a real disconnect where people aren't thinking of it as a problem. I don't think they even notice it. But I would think it could be changed. Somehow helping people be more conscious of it and understand the problems of it, and then they can choose. Right now it's an unconscious behavior, I think.
I do appreciate the community awareness that you learn as an American. I know that in kindergarten they teach you to, throw trash in a trash receptacle, and to, what would the city look like if you threw trash in a trash can? What would the city look like if you threw trash anywhere you wanted? Draw both pictures, put them up on the wall. Which one's more beautiful? These are elementary things that will come, but have not yet. Today I went to go look for an apartment, and I was going up the stairs, and there was they were doing work, so it was all dusty. And he said, "Wait till the dust settles before you walk up the stairs." And I said, "All of Yerevan is dusty." And he said, "Yeah, another 50 years." So I think we have another 50 years until our dust settles. And but even though it's dusty, it's still a good place to be.
I love my village. I love those people. That's why I'm here.
I was at a table last week eating dinner with a bunch of locals, and they were literally smoking and blowing it in the kid's face, and then, let's drink a toast to the children. You really want to drink a toast to the children. Let's be healthy around them, and, don't expose them to secondhand smoke. It's not, there's no point in drinking a toast to them and then smoking and blowing in their face, you know what I mean?
When the Dashnaks in Washington or the Armenian Assembly are pushing Congress for foreign aid, that they don't do it unconditionally, that they say, no, Armenia, we're not going to help you if you don't make some changes. If you don't clean up, if we don't see really that things are changing, we're not going to help you. It's tough because I understand what can happen. I mean, Armenia can go to hell, but do we want this for the next 100 years? When people say, well, it'll be a generation, it doesn't have to change. Why does it have to change? There's been corrupt countries for centuries. Why do we think it has to change just because a generation changes? It's a system that perpetuates itself.
So you have Armenian Americans who come here and they're like, well, this is how this is did. Why is the government not doing this and that and all that? And my answer to them is, do you vote here? Yes or no?
Good answer.
Do you pay taxes here? Yes or no? Then keep your mouth shut. Or don't keep your mouth shut. Discuss it. Don't say this is how it's going to be. Discuss it. Because they're more than willing to listen to ideas here. People, they're not as closed-minded as everyone thinks they are.
That international aid to Armenia should be based on tax collection. And if we really want to beat corruption, I mean, this is a long-term process, but tax collection is the best way, and it's a complex thing. But basically, people, when they're taxed, have demands, right? So if oligarchs are forced to pay taxes and the little guy has to pay tax, then I want something in return, right? But when you can pocket, put it under the counter in this way and that way, the system is gone. So that
you can have the system.
You can have the system.
You can have this system that you see.
Right.
It's very difficult to go on like this, really, where you don't have a real opposition. The real opposition is outside the government, and the government isn't as caring as it should be in a democracy. But I'm hoping that things will improve. There are good signs, very small ones, but things can get worse. That I'm sure of. Now, the fact that I can say that in front of cameras is a sign of going forward, and I hope things improve.
What do you think is the answer?
People have to be honest, and you can't legislate honesty. That's the worst thing.
Politically, there are questions there that people need to be sensitive about, especially in the current climate. So we don't, people, especially North Americans, were very aware of not being seen to be sort of colonizing the homeland, with their kind of Western capitalist liberal, values.
We ordered American hamburgers in Armenia, and that's okay. Doesn't mean we're becoming imperialists.
You used to wear shorts in California?
Yes, I did.
Did you wear shorts when you first moved here?
You know what? Yes, I did. I actually, I'll be honest with you. Of course, it was kind of, strange, on the streets. They were looking at me like, oh, why is he wearing shorts and everything, this and that. Yeah, they had this kind of, I don't know, this mentality, this Armenian mentality, which I just I just don't fit in with.
There are people that would smirk, if I walked with my shorts and flip-flops down the street. They would smirk and look at it. Okay, as long as they're not crossing the line and insulting me, let them smirk.
Do you walk with shorts and flip-flops? So you were here during some rough times in Armenia, and things are better now?
Things are better now. We have to say things are better now, for sure. I would nuance that quite a bit, though. Yeah.
It could be just better simply because things have to get better, because we were down the trough only a few years ago, and I couldn't see going further down. But whether going up is because of planning or the natural ambitions for people to survive.
So you don't think it's a system that's set up most efficiently to make things go up?
I don't know if there's a system, and we've lost so much confidence in our government that we don't know where they are heading, therefore we don't know where we're heading.
How do you feel about raising your children in Armenia?
Overall, I think it's a good quality of life for them because of the safety that we feel here. Everywhere we go, it seems like if we're going to a restaurant with the kids, the second we get there, the waiter takes our order and then takes our kid. So they're having fun. They want to play with the baby. So it's good because you have a much more comfortable relationship with everyone around you. So your waiter can be your babysitter, and even there have been so many times where we've gone to a restaurant and they've said, can we take him walking? And the waiter and the kid are walking down Abajian, and we're stuffed away in the restaurant enjoying each other. So
do you like living in Armenia? I guess I'll take that as a yes.
We feel that it's much safer as far as not being too stressed with the kids, playing outside or running around or going to school. Are they going to, are the teachers going to abuse them, or are they going to be kidnapped, or all the Western fears. We don't have that stress, but there is a stress of, is the education going to be up to par? Are they going to come out, 10 years from now with everything that they would have come out if we stayed in Canada?
We love it. We love it.
What's the best part about living in Armenia?
The people.
Yeah.
The people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it about the people?
Just everybody's like family.
That
It's
is
like
so
one
great.
big family. You don't feel like you're a stranger.
Can you learn to speak Armenian?
Yeah, we learn really, really fast.
What can you say in Armenian now?
Ուրախ տարեթարց Հայաստան.
What can you say to someone watching that may be considering moving to Armenia? What should they do?
They should move to Armenia. It would be such a better quality of life than so many lives that I've witnessed in the States. I'm not saying everyone's life in the States, but it's an amazing quality of life. You really feel valued, you feel valuable, you feel like you contribute and that your contribution matters.
Especially with the internet today and all the news services and all the internet sites on Armenia today, you can get up-to-the-minute, up-to-date news on Armenia every day. You could see really what's going on from top to bottom, you know, politically, economically, socially, culturally. You could see what's going on here in this country. So use the internet.
Would it be difficult for someone that doesn't speak Armenian to live here?
No, not anymore. Not anymore. That is very amazing. I don't think that's amazing in a sense that majority of people, Armenians, speak 3 languages minimum. So I think you can survive.
I've known of one person, you know, who was very nationalistic, very patriotic. He wanted to retire here. He had married a wife who was from Armenia, and they worked in the US for a number of years. So he sold everything, left his job and came here. 3 months later he was back in the US and in a dire situation of having lost his job, you know. The least he should have done is come here as a visitor, stay here for 6 months and decide whether this was his place. You can't just expect people to be the way things are back home. You have to be ready for surprises.
A diasporan Armenian would have to come here and visit Armenia for a lengthy period first, but not just Yerevan. He would have to go see the country northeast, southwest. You'd have to go to Karabakh. You'd have to go stay in Goris for a couple of days. You'd have to go to the northeast, stay at Sevan. You know, come back in the winter, see what it's like here in the winter and the spring. So basically come in the, let's say, summer going into fall for a couple of months. Then come, let's say, in February and March, you know, and see what it's like. And then make a decision. And I think it'll be a very easy decision, especially if they're young, because the youth is coming. It's starting to come.
So I would say that there's great potential here. I'd say there's a lot of fun to be had, And I would say that there's a lot of satisfaction to be had.
It opens doors, you know. It's a small country. You're a big fish.
For some reason, it just becomes a part of you. Every day as you live here with the people, it just really becomes a part of who you are. And we honestly, truly do love the Armenian people so much that it really turns out not to be so much of a sacrifice, but so much of an enjoyment that we're doing here.
What's your name?
My name is, right now I go by the name Elder, so I'm Elder Schroeder, but my real name is Jacob Schroeder.
And what does this say? Jacob Schroeder?
Yeah, this is my name, Yeret Schroeder, and this is our church name, Jesus Christosi Verchin Oreri Sirperi Yekechesi.
That's great.
If there's any way you can get back to your homeland, you got to do it, because the people leaving every day, but to protect those cultures and those traditions that are so rich and so vital to this people, you got to come back. We're asking you to come back.
Do you miss your friends in the United States?
I do miss them. I miss my family, my friends, but this is my home now. So if they miss me, let them come and visit me. Well, I do go once a year to the state for doctor's appointment, whatever. But when I go over there, I miss this place so much, Armenia, that I have to come back. Especially the last week of my staying in the United States, I counted days and hours when am I going to go back to Armenia. Well, it is my home now, so that's why I love it.
I was born in Iran, I grew up in the States, and I'm maturing in Armenia. So that's life brought me here. I needed a very big change. I had 3 choices, actually 4 choices. Moving to Iran, going to Washington, going to Glendale, or doing something really absurd, which it wasn't absurd at the time. Actually, I needed a change, so I came to Armenia.
Were you scared?
No. No. Why would I be scared? Change is good.
We want to be a good example to other diasporan Armenians and show them that this is the place to be, and that's it. This is the future.
I feel more positive lately. I know that we had a very rough year. I'm very cognizant, very burdened, very bothered by March 1st and the events. On the flip side, I'm very proud that my people's voices are continuously loud and getting louder. I'm also very proud of the changes I've seen in the government in the last few weeks. Since the change in presidency, there have been a few institutionalized new events that have given me great hope. There are still many things that I see that bother me that should be different.
I do hope that things get better and we see more diasporans come here. I believe in the end there's reason to stay in this country. There's a section in society who are very dear to me. You have to visit any village and you find out about the folks with whom you get connected.
I mean, I invite everyone to come here and have that experience because I love my life right now. I love it. Are you gonna cry?
I don't look at life the same way my friends do in LA because most of them are just narrow-minded. Not that they're not smart. I mean, they think this way. A lot of people here think this way, but I think this way. I mean, I think this way and that way. And I think it's a part of me. I'm happy, and I thank my parents for that.
I'm fortunate because my husband went to America and saw the Armenians there and realized those aren't the Armenians he knows. And so we've had to adjust to one another, and in a lot of ways it works because he gives me the best of his culture and I try to do the same.
Danny, how do you feel?
I feel great. Mary, how do you feel?
I feel wonderful.
For all of you who don't know Mary and myself, Mary and I had our first date at karaoke with Robert.
Yeah.
And you met in Armenia. You're from the U.S. and you met in Armenia.
That's correct.
The marriage is just the last step in a year-long relations, and for the first period we had problems to understand each other, our families, but by the time that we made that decision, everything was great, and we just have a great fun. Of course the life is difficult, we will have problems, but I think it will be the same if I choose the Armenian.
Are you glad you moved to Armenia? Are you glad?
You know I'm glad.
Now when I go back, everybody envies me. We should have moved with you. Everybody tells me we should have moved. It's too late now. I tell them it's never too late. It is never too late because there's still, this country has a space to grow. Huge potential.
Would you consider moving to Armenia?
I don't know.